Hello, I'm Dr. Papia Bhattacharjee. In this problem, we will have to sketch the graph of a function. And the function is f of x is absolute value of x plus 1. So, given a function, how do you sketch the graph or make a rough sketch at least? One of the best way to do it is make a table. So, you just make a table and you're going to plug in some x values and find the corresponding y values. Now, what is y? Y is the function expression. So, y is absolute x plus 1. Now, you can plug in any x values that you want. Usually, we start with some negative values and then some positive values. So, why don't we just start with, say, negative 2? We plug in x equals negative 2. And then let's figure out what is the corresponding y. Well, just plug in negative 2 for x in the expression for the function. So, you get absolute negative 2 plus 1. What is negative 2 plus 1? That is negative 1. But remember, we have absolute value, which makes it positive. So, this is positive 1. Okay, let's plug in negative 1 for x and see what the corresponding y is. It is absolute of negative 1 plus 1, which is absolute value of 0, and that is 0. Next, let's see what happens at the origin. So, plug in x equals 0. So, what is y? Y is 0 plus 1, absolute value, which is absolute value of 1, which is just 1. Okay, just to keep it symmetric, let's plug in 2 more values and they're all positive. So, let's say 1, x equals 1 will give you absolute 1 plus 1, so absolute 2, which is 2. And finally, let's plug in x equals 2. Then we have absolute 2 plus 1, which is absolute 3, which is 3. So, we got a set of 5 points. All you have to do is come to our xy coordinate plane and plot those points. And once we do that, we will join the points and try to have an idea of what the graph will look like. Okay, so the first point is negative 2 comma 1. So, come here, here is negative 2, here is 1, and plot that point. Then next one is negative 1 comma 0. So, negative 1 and 0 is right here. Third point 0 comma 1. So, at 0 y value is 1. Next one is 1 comma 2. So, 1 and 2. And the last point is 2 comma 3. So, 2 and 3. So, we have 5 points. We just have to join them. So, let's see. On this side, it seems like these points are coming down. So, and looks like they are on a line. The right hand side also, if you notice carefully, all these points, they look like they are on a line. So, it seems like that should be the graph of this function, absolute x plus 1. So, you get an idea of how to graph a function. You just make a table and then plot the points and then try to join the points. So, to finish this problem, let's take a graphing utility and check our graph. So you take whatever graphing utility you have, and all you have to do is plug in the function, and the function is right here, absolute x plus 1. So you use your absolute value function and then plug in x plus 1 for your y equals. And then you go to window and you can choose your window, and you should have a very clear idea of what the window should be from this graph already. So the minimum of x, it could be -5 to 5, scale 1, and y could go from say -1 to 5, and scale 1, and then you just graph it. And look, in your graph, it looks exactly like our graph. The left hand side is a straight line that's coming down, and the right hand side is also a straight line going up. So this checks our graph using the graphing utility. Thank you.